Brief History of Qing Taiwan, 1683 to 1895.
In 1683, Admiral Shi Lang led a massive naval force to crush the last Ming loyalist stronghold. The kingdom of Tungning collapsed, leaving the island's fate in the hands of the Manchu court. Kangxi initially viewed Taiwan as a ball of mud, not worth the cost of governing. Shi Lang argued that a strategic vacuum would invite pirates and Western powers to threaten the mainland. In 1684, the Qing formally annexed the island, establishing 3 initial counties centered around Tainan. Strict 3 prohibitions were enacted, banning family migration to prevent permanent rebellious settlements. Legal immigration required a permit, but illegal crossings from war-weary Fujians soon reached tens of thousands yearly. Tainan served as the administrative capital for over 2 centuries, built upon the foundations of Old Dutch and Zheng outposts. Early interactions were primarily commercial, focused on the trade of deerskin and venison. Yu Yonghei's 1697 journals described a wild land of miasma and dangerous untamed forests. The interior remained a land behind the mountains, largely unknown and outside Qing control. A quarantine policy sought to segregate Han settlers from the indigenous raw barbarians of the hills.
In 1721, the Ju-Yi-Gui Uprising erupted, fueled by extortionate taxation and sub-ethnic tensions. The rebels promised to restore the Ming, briefly seizing control of much of the island. The rebellion was crushed within months, but it forced the Qing to reorganize their failing administration. To improve control over the expanding population, the government split large counties into smaller, more manageable units. In 1722, the first official savage boundary was established using trenches and stone markers. These fortifications were known as Earthen Oxen, Tunyo, serving as physical barriers between Han and indigenous lands. Despite the laws, boundaries were ineffective as settlers constantly pushed inland for more fertile soil. Plains indigenous groups became cooked as they adopted Han agriculture, paid taxes, and integrated into Qing society. Cooked tribes often served the government as frontier guards in exchange for land protections. The boundary was redrawn multiple times as settlement expansion rendered old lines obsolete. The mid-18th century saw the rise of central ports like Lugong to handle the booming agricultural trade. Taiwan was transforming into a major rice exporter, becoming an essential fence line for the coastal provinces.
The Tian-Di-Hui, or Heaven and Earth Society, offered Han immigrants a secret network of mutual aid and anti-Manchu sentiment. In 1786, the governor's attempt to suppress the society by arresting members' families backfired spectacularly. Lin Shuangwen murdered the governor and mobilized up to 300,000 men in the largest rebellion of the era. Sub-ethnic fractures deepened as Hakka and Quanzhou settlers formed loyalist Yimin militias to fight Lin's Zhangzhou forces. Spiritual leaders like the indigenous shaman Jin Niang provided healing and morale to the rebel ranks. The emperor dispatched a massive relief force to restore order through overwhelming military severity. The imperial army methodically retook the island's administrative centers in a series of bloody engagements. Lin was captured in 1788 and sent to the capital for execution by slow slicing. In a brutal act of retributive justice, the court ordered the castration of the rebels' young sons. In 1790, the Green Line boundary was established, allotting buffer grasslands to loyal indigenous guards. The conflict left a lasting legacy of Yimin worship,
honoring those who died defending the imperial order. Following the rebellion's end, the Qing finally lifted the ban on bringing families, stabilizing the island's social structure.
After the Second Opium War, the 1858 Treaty of Tianjin forced Taiwan to open its ports to global trade. John Dodd discovered that northern Taiwan was perfectly suited for high-quality tea production. Tea became green gold, transforming the northern economy and integrating it into the American market. Camphor, used for medicine and industry, became another lucrative and highly contested export. Keelung and Takao opened as secondary ports, shipping Taiwan's resources across the Pacific. In 1867, the shipwreck of the Rover triggered a diplomatic crisis when its crew was killed by Paiwan warriors. A punitive U.S. naval expedition was forced to withdraw after failing to navigate the island's rugged terrain. Legendre negotiated the South Cape Accord directly with the chief, as Qing officials disclaimed any jurisdiction over the area. In 1871, another shipwreck brought 66 Ryukyuan sailors into the territory of the Mudan and Kuskus tribes. Cultural misunderstandings led to a massacre of 54 castaways, which Japan used as a pretext for invasion. The Qing argued the raw savages were beyond their control, unknowingly inviting Japan to act where the Qing would not. In 1874, Japan launched its first modern overseas expedition, exposing the fatal weakness of the Qing's quarantine policy. The Japanese sub-prefectural force razed Mudan villages before an informal armistice was reached. Chen Baozhen was sent to Taiwan to handle the crisis and radically shift the empire's policy. In 1875, the 190-year-old quarantine policy was abolished in favor of opening the mountains and pacifying the savages. The Qing began constructing trans-mountain roads to bring the entire island under direct administrative control. Administrative focus shifted northward as the strategic importance of Taipei and Keelung grew. During the Sino-French War, Liu Mingchuan successfully repulsed French landing forces in northern Taiwan. In 1885, Taiwan was finally elevated to a full province, with Liu Mingchuan as its first governor. Liu launched an ambitious modernization program, including China's first state-sponsored railway. The Liu Mingchuan Tunnel required 30 months of grueling labor to complete in 1890. Telegraph lines and a modern postal system were established to facilitate defense and trade. 9 modern Western-style forts were constructed to deter future naval offensives. Exhausted by political opposition and lack of funds, Liu resigned in 1891, leaving a legacy of high modernization. The First Sino-Japanese War broke out in 1894, resulting in a devastating defeat for the Qing military. In April 1895, the Treaty of Shimonoseki ceded Taiwan and the Pescadores to Japan in perpetuity. Refusing to submit to Japanese rule, local elites declared the independent Republic of Formosa. Tang Jing-song was installed as president, adopting the new era name Yongqing, Forever Qing. The famed Black Flag commander Liu Yongfu was appointed Grand General of the new Republic's army. The Japanese military launched a swift campaign, landing in the north just days after the Republic was declared. The Republic's leadership in the north collapsed within 2 weeks as President Tang fled to the mainland. The largest battle on Taiwanese soil occurred at Baguashan, where organized resistance was decisively broken. As the Japanese reached the gates of Tainan,
Liu Yongfu also escaped, leaving the republic without a leader. On October 21, 1895, Tainan fell, marking the end of the short-lived republic. Governor-General Kabayama Sukanori reported the final pacification of the island in November. 2 centuries of Qing rule ended, ushering in 50 years of Japanese colonial administration.